Now, what events causes men to become nice guys? Like, for me, well, obviously in the book, I've read your book multiple times, but to the audience that hasn't read the book, what causes us to be the way we are, to be nice men, nice guys? Is it more mom driven? Is it more dad driven? Or it could be both in a different way?
That's a good question. And when I saw the previous session when you talked about my book, you talked about mama's boys, and we can come back to the mama's boys because that can be a part of it. And when I started, here's how I actually started kind of really diving into the nice guy thing. As a therapist, I had clients coming to me, guys with their wives or girlfriends, and they were saying the same things I was. I'm a nice guy. I'm one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. I treat her better than her ex. I'm raising her kids. I do everything to make her happy. It's never enough. She's never happy. She never wants to have sex anymore. Blah, 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 blah. So I started a No More Mr. Nice Guy men's group. That was about 25 years ago, and just started writing chapters to give these guys. And that's what later turned into the book. But when I first started working with other men, when I first realized, hey, I'm not the only guy out there thinking if I'm just a nice guy, everybody will love me and like me and I'll get my needs met. I thought maybe we were all the same, that we all had the same kind of programming that turn us into nice guys. But the more I worked with men, the more I realized there's a multitude of things that can cause a guy to internalize this life paradigm, this world paradigm that I've got to be good, hide my faults to get liked and loved. Um, I think a lot of nice guys are just naturally easygoing guys. I mean, probably as little boys, we were just probably a lot of us were easygoing. My mother tells every woman I've ever been involved with at some point, she says, Bobby never did like conflict. Which I'm thinking, who does? I mean, of course I didn't like conflict, but that's just me. That's my temperament. Some people love to fight. My present wife loves to fight. She'll pick a fight just for fun, and so I tend to attract those people. So what I found is it a lot of guys, a lot of the men I work with tended to have a combination of either they were over involved with their mothers as little boys, and their fathers were absent or unavailable or bad in some way, alcoholic, philandering, treated their moms bad. Now, that's not always the case. A lot of guys I work with nowadays grew up with nice guy fathers and maybe angry or controlling or dominant mothers, that their fathers would just say, don't upset your mother, because that was dad's strategy for dealing with his wife. Just don't upset her. Don't rock the boat. So I think a lot of things can contribute to it. And nowadays you see most young men growing up, a lot grow up in single parent families, so dads aren't around. Almost all boys worldwide grow up in school systems, educational systems that are dominated by women. And the educational system nowadays is geared towards educating girls. It really does not suit young boys.
Tell me what
well.
you mean by that. Can you unpack that?
Yeah. I've got a 35-year-old son and stepson, and now in my third marriage, I've got a 15-year-old son down here in Mexico, stepson. And the educational system that expects boys to sit in a chair that doesn't fit them. My son and stepson from my second marriage, my first son from my first marriage, were both like 6 foot tall at 12 years old. So here they're going to these little chairs with desks built into the front of them. They couldn't even get their bodies into them. And we'd go to the school and complain, you got to give them bigger desks. They can't sit. Oh, well, they aren't available. And to expect adolescent boys, especially, to just sit still, listen to a teacher lecture, memorize that shit, regurgitate it on a test, and then that's how you get through school. And even younger, I often say that for a third grade boy, graduating from third to fourth grade not only involves learning your reading, writing, and arithmetic, but how to please a woman, but probably because he had a female teacher. So the educational system is pretty much geared to how girls tend to learn, not how boys tend. To really educate boys, we probably need to take them out in the forest somewhere, out in a jungle somewhere, and teach them life skills. And while we're doing it, teach them mathematics and chemistry, hands-on learning. That's how boys tend to learn better. So, so a lot of boys get into that educational system. And I didn't start studying until my senior year in high school. I mean, I just didn't care. I didn't have to study very hard to just get by. And so, but what happens for a lot of boys, they get disenfranchised, and the dropout rate for adolescent males out of school is just it's unacceptable because what's happening is these guys not only are not doing well in math and spelling, they internalize that belief system. There's something wrong with me. I'm stupid. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good. And all of that stuff is part of that toxic shame I mentioned a little bit earlier, that we now try to hide from the world and overcompensate for. And so that can turn a boy into a nice guy. It might turn him into an asshole. I mean, it can go different directions, but a lot of it has to do with our basic temperament, and then these experiences that we have in childhood, adolescent, that we inaccurately internalize these beliefs about ourselves and the world, and that becomes our emotional operating system that now is running the bus as adults.
So a couple questions for your observation based on the book and what you just said right now. So one, a boy is raised by a woman who the father's not in a picture, and the mother is going to be affirming certain things to him, right? It's almost like an affirmation to him as a person you raised in a Christian family, affirmation. So, hey, when you grow up, you're not going to be like your dad. You're going to be a nice guy. You're going to do this. You're going to take care of a woman. You're never going to do this. You're never going to do it. Yes, mom. Yes, mom. Yes, mom. And you say that a million times, the boy's going to want to be what mommy wants them to be, right?
Sure.
And then on the other situation, what you're saying is, if I'm off here, you're raised in an environment where the dad is extremely aggressive, extremely hardcore, too much, like way, way too much, without, being a little bit sitting down, values, principles. And then later on, this boy says, I never want to be like my dad. I don't ever want to be like my dad. I'm going to be a nice guy. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that. And then what they end up realizing in their 40s or 30s is the fact that neither works. Solution is typically in the middle. Is that kind of what you're saying here?
Well, you've described just one possible scenario of what a child might grow up with. And yeah, my mother told me as a child, she was raising me and my brother to be different from my father. And she later apologized for that. Bless her heart. She said that was not a healthy thing to do to you as a boy, and to alienate you from your father. So, I'll give
props to her.
Kudos. Yeah, exactly, for that. And I did have a good relationship with my father, but he was moody and critical, so really unpredictable. But he came to every ball practice I had, took me to the school and would pitch to me, hit flies, took us camping, fishing. So there were good qualities there as well. But yes, I, like a lot of nice guys, did make the decision, I want to be different from dad. And a lot of men I work with have made that decision to be different, not only from their fathers, but all those bad men that they've heard mothers, girls in junior high complain about. Oh, those jerks that only want sex, blah, 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 blah. Or, if a guy spends any amount of time hanging out with women, he's going to hear them complain about men. And then those guys say, well, I don't want to be that guy. If I'm not that guy, then the women will like me and want to be with me, which that's a whole nother story, because that doesn't work at all either. That's another one we can dive into. So there's any number of things that can contribute to that dynamic of a guy, of a young man, a boy deciding it's not okay to just be me. It's not okay to just be who. If I'm a little bit like dad, oh no, that's a bad thing. And what a lot of guys tell me, a lot of nice guys that I work with, once they kind of hit that age, whether it's in their 20s or 30s or 40s, when they start asking, well, who am I really? All they realize is all they've ever heard growing up is don't be this, don't be this, don't be this, don't be that. No real support of be yourself, pursue your passions, do what you love, be true, be honest, be authentic. And so all we've heard is don't be, and we have no clue what to be.